What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to go over the trades that we took today inside the Discord, as well as the game plan going into tomorrow. So, going into today, this is what we looked like on like a higher time frame basis. So, if we look at the monthly contracts, we ended up bouncing off this 50 SMA down in here on the daily chart. If you guys been paying attention to the videos, we use the monthly chart to kind of give us that bigger picture outlook when it comes to the market. So, when we're reading SPY on the monthlies on the daily, it's a much larger time frame than the weeklies, because these are a few weeks out, and then also we're on the daily time frame. And you can see what happened here. That massive dump that we had like a day or two ago ended up getting bought up, and so did the dip the other day on Friday get bought up, because we ended up hitting this major support area. And I actually swung calls ended today, and we grabbed them on Friday, because this was one of the parts of it. We were sitting at major support here on the monthlies, daily time frame, daily 50 SMA. Major support can't really be bearish until we start to break below that. So I ended up grabbing a swing on Friday, and the reason I did that was because of the 30-minute chart as well. So if we go back here, I'm going to just drag over the screenshot, because I didn't have a video up on Friday or Thursday. Well, Friday I usually don't post anyways, but on Thursday I was pretty sick, so I wasn't really feeling up for a video. But this is what it looked like where I took the swing at. So we were bearish last week at some point, and then once we looked like this, all right, right here, 10 SMAs crossing below the 50, 10 to 50 are really close to each other. 10 SMAs down hard. We lost the 50 on the puts. So with this chart going negative, this is where I grabbed a swing long on calls at 12:23 or 12:22. I forget the exact time, but I swung the 661 calls for today's expiration, Monday's expiration, the 29th, and we got paid. I mean, it was very simple. We were sitting at that higher time frame, 50 SMA on the monthlies right here, and then also that 30-minute chart going negative was another factor. So this is what it looked like end of the day on Friday. We could see the move that we got, cross negative, pushed us lower on these contracts, which ended up bouncing us on SPY, and swung them into today. And we ended up selling these right at open pretty much a couple minutes in. And the reason behind that was pretty simple, because we ended up hitting the resistance here on the 30-minute chart on the call side. So yeah, right off open, this is where I ended up selling at. We were pretty close to the 50. I'll show you what it looks like in real time, because I sent this out to the Discord that I was just going to sell these because we were close enough to the 50. Not really, if I get a little bit higher on these, I mean, it's like 10-15% at most on the contract. So I mean, at that point, it really doesn't make sense to take the chance on that. So we're already up 140%, and this is what it looked like right off of open. We're right near that 50 SMA at like 1.6. So for me, that's plenty to just take the trade off and move on to the next, because we're nearing that key resistance on SPY, and that ended up marking the top on SPY actually. So if you guys see this chart right here, we ended up popping up a little bit higher, and that 50 SMA ended up marking the top. I didn't take any trades when it came to SPY, but there was an opportunity to short, and part of it was because of this 30-minute chart here. So it wasn't an entry off the 30-minute. You would have used the 0DT chart for your entry, but again, this just kind of tells you, okay, we're nearing that 50 SMA on calls. It's a good spot to maybe exit your lungs if you're in a swing like we were, and also look for a trade to the downside after we start to reject that. So off of open, the calls were actually crossed on the 0DT chart, and that's not a trade. We're not taking any longs because we're near that 50 SMA. So when we pulled the 0DT chart, you can see what happened here. Calls crossed, but there was no move given because we were sitting at that 30-minute 50 SMA, which is strong resistance. So this is why the 30-minute chart is very important. It tells you what direction you want to be trading, and right here, this cross isn't a trade you want to take, because we are at that key support or key resistance on the call side. So what you do wait for is this chart to go negative to go short. So 10 SMA cross below 50. The entry definitely wouldn't have been the best like risk reward wise, but we did get the negative cross, and it definitely gave like 60 to 80 points, probably even more than that. But you definitely could have caught a good move off the negative cross. I sat out just because we are neutral. I was already in some option trades, which I'm going to go over. So, I was fine with sitting out of the negative cross, but that is a trade you could have taken if you were trading SPY today. So, I mean, it's pretty simple. We're at massive resistance on the calls. The calls are already crossed on the 0DT chart. Just wait for these to go negative to confirm that we're going to reject that 30-minute 50. You get the negative cross, you go short, you get paid, and that was that. That's pretty much all you would have done for SPY. When we flip to the put side, there really wasn't anything going on here. So we got this little cross right here, but this cross was too funky looking. I told Discord that Tennis may want above the 50. We need this 50 to curl up. And I was waiting for this chart to pull back to the 50 here and then reclaim the tennis may to go short, which we never got. So there's no entry there. And that's pretty much all we did today when it came to SPY. I mean, going into tomorrow, pull up the 30-minute charts, we are neutral. So tennis may is below the 50 here on the puts. And then the tennis may is below the 50 on the call side. So right now we're in a neutral market. That means there's no trend, and all we're looking for in a neutral market is a 0 DT cross on either side of the premium. So that's pretty much the game plan going into tomorrow. I do still favor the bulls just because of the monthly chart. I mean, this monthly chart is still crossed and we're still above the 50. So if I did have any bias, it would be to the upside because we are still crossed on like a higher time frame perspective. So for me, I lean like tiny bit bullish, but I'm not going to be taking any trades based on this chart right now because we already kind of did that on Friday. We got the call swing, sold today, and now we just wait until we get that 30-minute trend again to see what direction we're actually going to go. So that's what we did to SPY, or what we did with SPY today. We ended up taking Intel. This is a really good trade. So first off, if we look on the monthlies here, tennis may is about the 50 on the monthlies. Intel, this cross gave us such a fat move. I mean, this was a swing you could have taken. So on Intel, the reason I like this so much was because of this 30-minute chart right here. So like I said, that monthly chart was crossed. There was already a good move from it, but we ended up getting a dip here to the 30-minute 50. I ended up getting a good fill on this. We got this at around 0.60. So I entered on this candle right here, I believe, or the one before. I actually forget what candle it was, but one of these two candles we entered 0.60 fill, and then we got to bounce all the way up to 0.93, which was about like 55%. I took some off initially at that 50% mark, and then once we came back down here, I ended up selling it as we started to break below 50 here, just above break even. So that trade, I mean, it still looks really good. I still think Intel's gonna rip because there was so much flow on October, I think the 17th calls for like the 40 calls, the 45 calls, and with the monthlies being crossed, I favor that we're gonna end up probably recrossing on the 30-minute and seeing a move higher. That's just what I think. Just a lot of flow on the name, and that's pretty much that. I mean, if that 30-minute chart crosses again, I'd really like for like a short-term expiration. But I did grab a swing today on Intel for October 17th. So if you guys want to tail that, you could. I do like the name, and it's a good-looking chart on the monthly still. So yeah, all this trade was is buying the dip in the trend. So we know the trend was bullish on Intel, bought the 50. We got to bounce out of it. I was looking for a little bit more. I was hoping to get like 70-80% on this, but that didn't end up happening, and got stopped out a little bit above break even. So yeah, again, all we're doing, buying the 30-minute 50 dip, and that's exactly how we end up taking this next trade as well on PayPal. So PayPal, simple. We pulled back to the 50 here. I ended up buying the 50 dip, and I'll show you the exact screenshot I sent to the Discord when we actually added this. So this is what it looked like. Contracts were at like 0.65 to 0.70. I don't know why the screenshot shows such a wide spread, but at the time, after I sent the screenshot, the contracts were around like 0.63 to 0.65. There was like a $2 spread on them when I entered, so I got 0.64 fill on these, and we end up getting a nice balance all the way up to over $1 on the contracts. If we go to like the 5-minute, you can see that these contracts hit 103, currently up I think like 55-60%. I'm swinging the other half into tomorrow. We ended up trimming up 50%. That's usually 50 to 70% is my target for my trades, where I take half off and then swing the rest at break even. So PayPal is simple, just buying the 30-minute 50 dip. We know that when we cross, this 50 SMA acts as major support, and that's kind of our opportunity to buy the dip in the trend on whatever stock we're watching. So in this case, the trend is bullish on PayPal. We buy the dip in the trend at the 50, and that ended up literally being the bottom tick where I sent that screenshot out. So yeah, PayPal, really good trade. We actually ended up taking a loss on Apple. So I re-entered this swing, but I did end up closing it initially and then getting back in. But I did take Apple, and it was pretty simple. All it was is playing this higher time frame 4-hour 50. So 30-minute isn't crossed or anything like that. The only reason I like this is because of this 4-hour 50. And yeah, 10's above the 50 here. We're at major support on the 4-hour. If it breaks below, I'm going to close it, but that is the pretty much reasoning behind Apple. That's the only thing I really like about it. 4-hour 50, just trying to see if this support holds, and if it does, great. If it doesn't, we close it out. But the potential on Apple is really big because it's such a high time frame support that if we do end up holding it, it's going to make a really explosive move higher, and that's kind of what I'm betting on when it comes to Apple. And then again, if this 30-minute chart ends up crossing on the weeklies, that'll be even more of a confluence for this to go higher. So if we did cross on the 30-minute, honestly, I'm probably going to average up on Apple and get some good size on this trade. So for now, I just have my initial adds here at the 4-hour 50, and if we get the 30-minute cross, that's where I'm going to add some more to this position. So yeah, that's pretty much what we did today. I mean, Apple 10% loss. I re-entered it looking for a solid move, and then we caught Intel for 55%, stopped at a little bit over even. PayPal is currently up 55-60%. SPY swing was like 140-150%. So really good day. Didn't take anything when it came to SPY, but yeah, I kind of gave you guys the game plan when it came to SPY for tomorrow. 0 DT cross either side of the premium, and that'll be that. And you guys could, if you guys want to take the swings I just mentioned, you could. But everything I share with the Discord, that'll be in the private and obviously the premium channel, just so people are getting something out of it. I'll probably drop something in the free section this week, just kind of give you guys an idea of maybe a stock that I like and like what to look for when it comes to entry. But yeah, that's all I got. If you guys enjoyed, drop a sub. If you guys want to learn, join the Discord down below. But yeah, I'm out. Peace.